Good evening. I am Reverend Amy Moses Lagos, and it is my privilege to serve as a minister at Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church. I use the pronouns she and her. I wish you happy holidays and Merry Christmas on behalf of the congregation. It is my joy this evening to welcome you to our virtual Christmas Eve service. Whether you've spent every Christmas Eve for many years with BBUUC or you are our guest for the first time. This service is a labor of love on the part of many people. Tonight we receive gifts of music, stories, and memories from members of this community, helping us to feel our loving connections to one another, even as we are physically apart. As this service about Christmas unfolds before us, ever ancient and familiar, yet ever wondrously new, I hope you will look for the ways this story resonates in your life. Through this simple story of a family in danger and the miracle of a new baby, we are invited to look at our world in new ways, to scan the skies for new hope, to seek awe and wonder in the quiet cold, and to look for the holy in the most humble and unlikely places. For while Jesus was born long ago, and while we all have our own beliefs about who and what Jesus was and wasn't, there are those for whom there is no room in every land and every age. Miracles can still happen, and love is born into our world every day.
Good evening. In true Unitarian Universalist spirit, happy Chrismahana Kwanzaa, and welcome to our first and hopefully last virtual Christmas Eve service at Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is David Dean. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm speaking to you from our sanctuary pulpit tonight because, well, I need to tonight. Wherever you happen to be tonight, or whenever, I invite you to use your imagination and your sense of memory and try to feel yourselves sharing this room with me tonight, the way we always have and will again. Turn down your lights if you like, have a candle or two ready, and they don't even have to be electric ones tonight. Let's share Christmas Eve together. I'd like to begin with some words by the UU minister, Reverend Robert Doris, and I've adapted some of the words a little bit for this year. He writes, "Normally, at this time, churches around the world are traditionally preparing for the celebration of Christmas. Most mainline churches typically stage pageants, caroling services, often by candlelight. Other churches would plan services that explain the story of Christmas and its roots in pagan traditions. This would usually be coupled with caroling and readings that may or may not give meaning to Christmas. Many individuals, including ministers, have desired to see Christmas celebrations go away. Why? Because of the over-commercialization of Christmas and because it's a time of depression for many people, a time of overspending, and a time of endless parties where families are neglected, financial budgets are strained, work productivity comes to a standstill. It seems that any special spiritual meaning that should be attached to Christmas has been lost. Many Unitarians are asking why we should celebrate Christmas at all, since we do not believe that Jesus is God. Now, this too suggests that the meaning and spirit of Christmas has been lost. Why then would we, Unitarian Universalists, celebrate Christmas? Despite all that's been said so far, Christmas can be a very, very important holiday, even to UUs. What, you may say? Why, you may ask? As Unitarians, we believe that there is only one God. However, in our Western culture, the teachings of Jesus have proved to be the foundation stone that has kept the UU tradition alive. It is a day on which we celebrate his birth, not as God incarnate, but as a founder of our religion. It should be a day of giving thanks for his contribution and an acknowledgement of the example that his life set on the Western world. It does not matter if he was born of a virgin, born in a stable or a cave, born to a rich family or a poor one. What does matter is that we acknowledge his role and his place in the Unitarian Universalist tradition. Do we need to buy into the commercialism? No. Do we need to follow established tradition? No. Do we need to acknowledge Jesus and others for their contributions? Yes. How? Have a birthday party. When? Tonight seems like a good time. Where? Your home is the perfect place. But what about guests? Here we are. No gifts required. We'll just ask to bring an open heart and a spirit of fellowship and friendship and a spirit of thanksgiving. What should we do? Share our joy, share our thoughts and feelings, share our dreams, share our music. Above all, share our love for our brothers and sisters, our families and friends. Why? Maybe, just maybe, in this way, we can reignite the true spirit of Christmas, the sharing of our love.
O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel,
that mourns in lonely exile here,
until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come thou day spring, come and cheer our spirits by thine advent dear. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and as dark shadows put to light. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.
Hi, my name is Cassidy. Since we can't go to church, we're doing it at home, so I will be reading The Night Before Christmas.
Hello, we are the Chapels.
Tonight, we'll be reading The Night Before Christmas.
We're going to read The Night Before Christmas by Clement C. Moore.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas would soon be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads.
And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap.
When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter.
Away to the window I flew like a flash,
Tore open the shutters and threw up the sash.
The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below.
When what to my wondering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh. You see the sleigh? And 8 tiny reindeer. Can you find the reindeer?
On this way.
Yeah.
With a little old driver so lovely and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick.
More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer, now Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner, on Blitzen.
To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now
Dashaway, Dashaway, Dashaway all.
So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too.
And then in a twinkle, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof.
As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. See St. Nicholas and the reindeer? And there he's going down the chimney.
He was dressed all in fur, from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot.
A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack.
His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry.
His drool with his mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was white as the snow.
he had a broad face and a round little belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly.
He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself.
A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread.
He spoke not a word, but went straight to work, and filled the stockings, and then turned with a jerk.
And laying a finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose.
Look at him. Where is he going? He's going up the chimney, isn't he?
He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew, like the down of a thistle.
I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight,
Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
The end.
Hello. At Christmas and every day, let's remember all the animals. Did you ever sing the Carol of the Beasts about Jesus, our brother, kind and good? Merry Christmas.
Hi there. This year, as I planned for the holidays, I kept thinking of the story How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I'd like to read a little bit of that to you. Then the Grinch heard a sound rising over the snow. It started in low. Then it started to grow. But this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville, the Grinch popped his eyes, then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. I know for many of us, Christmas is going to look a little different this year. What I've been telling myself is Christmas isn't just how we celebrate. It's a spirit of giving and sharing. It's something that comes from inside each of us. As long as we keep this in our hearts, Christmas will come back to us every year. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you.
I had the honor of leading our Christmas Eve service at our old home, the Mandarin Community Club, in 2007. That evening, I shared a message by the Reverend Edward Harris of All Souls Unitarian Church in Indianapolis about the unexpected UU connection to Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. It's 13 years later. Many of you never heard this, and so I'd like to present it again tonight. What can we say about Rudolph? He was excluded by the other reindeer. They did not let him play with them. We may feel confident that they made fun of him and his red nose. The other reindeer had a special relationship with Santa Claus. They were the elite Dancer, Dasher, Prancer, Comet, Blitzen. Fine names, sturdy names, names of solidarity, stability, education, training, ability, access to the very best. These reindeer were strong and fast. Rudolph, he was smaller, and his only distinctive feature was a shiny red nose. Hey, look at Rudolph, the red-nosed. I'd rather be dead than red in the nose, they'd say. Did Rudolph wish to be included? We don't know. Probably he did, for it is the deepest wish of all creatures to belong and to be accepted. So, we have a classic story of the insiders excluding the newcomer and making fun of his special traits. It happens all the time. In schoolrooms, playing fields, offices, society, we say, they just don't have it. And if they do, well, we got here first, and we don't have to let them into our group, our company, our country club, our political party, our church. So what happened? You know the story. One foggy Christmas Eve, Santa goes to little Rudolph and asks him to guide the sleigh, actually to lead it. He would be in front of the other reindeer because their mission of getting Christmas to the boys and girls of the world was so important, it became necessary to rethink past practices. When Rudolph was asked, what did he say? Well, we don't know. It's not recorded. We know he did not say, I can't. I'm too little. He didn't say, me? The others always make fun of me. He didn't say, now you ask me. I got something better to do. It isn't fair. He didn't say spitefully, get somebody else. Let Dancer do it. He didn't say, I hope you crash, you and all the others. No. He just did it. He led the sleigh through. He did the job. It was a hard job, but he did it. Then all the reindeer loved him. So what does this little story mean? What is its moral? Some possible meanings: anybody can serve. We need everyone to be part of the team, even the ugliest, or what we label ugly, and smallest, has a special contribution to make. The mission is more important than personalities. There are perhaps others. I imagine you can think of some. But I hope you remember them next time you hear the silly novelty song about Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. And speaking of elements from some of our previous Christmas Eves, it is my honor to share this next story of an unforgettable Christmas in Maine told from our pulpit by Reverend Elizabeth Teal.
'Tis the season of the little sheds. You know, they're popping up everywhere, filled with Marys and little Josephs and little mangers filled with little babies. You've seen them. Sometimes they have a donkey, maybe a sheep. Yeah, they're called creche, which is from an old tech. Love tech. The creche was way before the tech, for those who missed that part. Anyway, so they're called creche, and they're everywhere now. It's an old French word that meant place to eat, right? For animals. Just like manger, manger, was a place to eat. Just like the old German word, place to eat, which was crib. You know that word, right? It's a place where babies sleep. Yeah, the first creche was made by St. Francis, and it had real live animals in it, humans too. He made it up. He made it up because he wanted to be able to tell the real story of Christmas in a way that people in the village could understand. That's kind of what I've done tonight. A long time ago, 'twas the night before Christmas, on a little island off the coast of Maine, way, 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 way up in the bitter, cold winter. And just like tonight, many different things were happening in many different places all over. My grandmother's cousins were putting together a train set, but this is after all the young ones had gone up to sleep. They were busy, busy, busy assembling. The women's auxiliary was putting just the final touches on their creche, which was life-size, hand-carved, wooden, and in front of the Union Church where the Christmas service was going to be told. My grandmother was rehearsing with the choir. My mother hadn't even been born yet. And a small band of 3 left-behind dogs were roaming and wandering, looking for a snack, a handout, maybe an open barn door, someplace to get away from the cold. All summer long, they had played with the children. The children had given them ice cream and dropped French fries. And then, as soon as Labor Day came, the summer vacationers, they all went back to the cities, and they left them behind. These 3 still didn't have any homes. They were looking for food and shelter on a cold, bitter Christmas Eve. Meanwhile, the littlest cousin, who was supposed to be asleep, had Christmas business to attend to. He grabbed his father's lunchbox, which he had hidden underneath his bed, and climbed out the window because he was going to work. Did I mention he was only 3? When the train set was all finished, my great-great-aunt went to kiss the littlest ones. They were all asleep. What? My baby! The baby! The baby was gone. How? Where? When? The window was open, a cold air blowing in. This was clearly the place to begin. We looked out on the snow. I did mention this was in Maine, right? And they followed little footy footprints. So, quickly, boots on, torches in hand, which is really just an old-timey word for flashlight. They went out searching for the long-lost baby of Christmas. Meanwhile, up at the creche, the ladies' auxiliary was having a dreadful time. Someone had put, and I quote, a dirty, ratty, tatty old crocheted blanket over the baby Jesus. And every time they tried to get close enough to remove it, you can't even see the beautiful carving on the baby Jesus' face. It's Italian. A pack of wild dogs lunged at them from behind the donkey. For heaven's sakes, Gladdy, stop that. You want to get yourself all bit up for Christmas? Come on, just leave it be. And about that time, the choir arrived. And then the rest of the town. And the Italian baby Jesus was still swaddled when the choir began to sing, "Oh, holy night." And just then, a tired band of pajama-wearing torch carriers entered the small crowd. The stars are brightly shining. And the baby Jesus sat up. A miracle! Proclaimed the minister. The choir director fainted. Mommy, he cried as he reached out his arms and he climbed out, carefully tucking the blanket back around the baby Jesus. Mommy, is it Christmas yet? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. As she swooped him up into her arms, dropping the flashlight, all those dogs, so wild, came running around, wagging their tails. Yes, yes, it is Christmas. Why? We were so scared. Why? He said, well, Mommy, the baby was naked. Jesus told us we're supposed to clothe the naked. And he held up the lunchbox and feed the hungry. So I did. And just then a little cocker spaniel came and nosed the lunchbox, while the other two just wagged patiently behind. And today, so I'm told, the baby Jesus has his own hand-crocheted blanket, now crocheted by the women's auxiliary, who have so many that they have to give them away. And Jesus is no longer Italian, but some of his relatives still are. Well, the termites got into the choir loft, but he was carved by a fisherman. His rebirth is beautiful. All 3 dogs got homes that night, as did their offspring. And we're all reminded that in each and every one of us lives a little child who knows we're supposed to clothe the naked and feed the hungry. Merry Christmas.
O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in the dark streets shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondrous love. O morning stars together proclaim the holy birth. Let praises ring from God, they bring goodwill to all on earth.
A very special and meaningful Christmas tradition for me is creamed onions. Yes, you heard that right. When I was a child, our holiday meal was a one-time-a-year turkey dinner that we had no other time of the year, and it included creamed onions. They were a particular favorite of my mother's. She was the only one that ate them, and we always lovingly teased her about them. Mom died when I was 19, and that Christmas was the first time I would take on the massive undertaking of making Christmas dinner on my own. I was scared to death, but I forged forward. There was no reason to make creamed onions because nobody else ate them, but at the last minute, I did because I just couldn't face the Christmas dinner table without them. They'd always been there. Oddly enough, I took a taste and I liked them. So now, 54 years later after Mom's passing, they are still part of our Christmas dinner. And my own daughters, now grown with families of their own, look forward to the creamed onions as part of their Christmas dinner. They never knew my mother, but they know her spirit is still with us. So yes, creamed onions.
Good evening. I'd like to share a reading by the Reverend Max Coots. He lived from 1927 until 2009, and for 34 years he was the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canton, New York. He's one of my favorite UU writers. The title of his reading is Christmas in Spite of Me. I hadn't felt as Christmassy as usual this year. I don't know why. Maybe it was because the air stayed autumn warm so late in the year, and the ground was bare and even green long after it's usually white. Maybe it was the lack of lights. Whatever the reason, I didn't get that feeling that is half child and half adult. Maybe it was as much inner as outer weather that kept Christmas arm's length from me. An inner climate made up of something older, or tired, or busy, or bored. But whatever the reason, the annual star, like a much publicized comet, didn't blaze so brightly as advertised over the ordinary fields where I shepherd my concerns. But I need Christmas. I need it to remind me that every year a child is born, every year an heir is given, every year angels in disguises of all kinds sing glory and make promises in the cold. I need it. We all do. The season is dark and cold. But Christmas came. It fell out of the sky, white and cold, but not so cold as the bare, empty days before. Christmas came in the mailbox with old friends' names folded up inside. It came hung in round green greetings, let out of front doors to remind the street what time of year it is. It came through my ears, in my eyes, in old echoes and fragile memories. It came as it always comes, like a light in my darkness. Merry Christmas.
Hello, I'm Chris Jarman, and my pronouns are she and her. I serve as Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church. It's my great privilege tonight to share a story that comes from an unusual source. One could almost say it comes straight from the horse's mouth, as we'll be hearing the somewhat traditional tale of the Nativity, the story of the night Jesus was born. But this time, we get the very familiar tale from the perspective of the donkey who helped carry the young family through the night seeking shelter. And we'll get to hear what this loyal and helpful creature notices and emphasizes about this story we've all heard so many times. The story is named Refuge, and it is written by Ann Booth and Sam Usher. Let us begin. The man led me, and I carried the woman all the way to Bethlehem. And then the baby was born. The shepherds came first, and after them came the kings. When the last king left, the scent of frankincense lingered in the air. We all slept, and the man had a dream of danger. He woke long before the sun rose and told the woman. She took the baby, and she kissed him. She smelled his sweet baby breath and felt his soft, warm baby skin, and how his lashes tickled her cheek as he sweetly nuzzled her neck. "Time to go," she said. Then they wrapped him up warm and kissed him again. And the man came to get me. He patted me between the ears and led me out. "Come on, old friend, we're off on a journey again." And we left some gold for the innkeeper, for he had been good to us when others had not. And we set off under the starlight, through empty streets whilst people were sleeping, hoping for the kindness of strangers again. And we passed the shepherds in the fields, and there were whispered blessings, and the movement of the sheep in the darkness, and the clasp of rough hands, and the love of warm hearts. And I kept walking, carrying my precious load. And the woman held the baby close to her heart. And she and the man talked about journeys and dreams, warnings, and the love of the baby and the kindness of strangers. And when we rested and they were frightened, they took help from each other and from the baby's tiny first smile. And we entered into Egypt and found refuge. Such a sweet and lovely reminder of what we can learn from the tale when we consider it from a new point of view. The near universal understanding of what it means to love a baby. The importance of kindness and warm hearts. The seeking of a place of refuge for those you care most about in the world and hope for a better future. May it be so, and happy holidays.
The sun is shining, the grass is green, the orange and palm trees sway. There's never been such a day in Beverly Hills, LA. But it's December the 24th, and I'm longing to be up north. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Hello, beloveds. I want to take this time during the Christmas Eve service to share with you what an incredible joy and privilege it is to serve as the minister at Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church. This has been an amazing 4 months of shared ministry. You took a big risk hiring a minister all the way across the country to do virtual ministry in these very strange and challenging times we are living in. The past 4 months have been enriching and meaningful for me, and I hope they have been that way for you too. In my applications for ministry positions, I said that my ideal ministry setting would be in a congregation that wanted to deepen their commitments to spiritual growth, social justice, and beloved community. I could not have asked for a better fit than Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church. One of my favorite things about my ministry with BBUUC is family religious education on Sunday mornings. At 7 o'clock in the morning here in Seattle, I settle in with my coffee and join Chris Jarman and BBUUC families to explore Unitarian Universalist values, and how we live them in our lives. Chris engages us with stories, games, and activities that teach UU principles and sources. There is so much love and caring in these gatherings. Even though I am miles apart from you, I can still feel that love. I am really impressed with how you teach Unitarian Universalist principles and heritage in ways that really cultivate loving connections in our community. These gatherings give me hope for the future of Unitarian Universalism. As a congregation, you are answering the call of love in your service and social justice work. You are joining your energy with a long history of Unitarian Universalists who have helped to bend the arc of the universe towards justice. With food drives for NFAN and Jasmine and this October collection, you are putting your love into action and helping those in need in the community. With your work with iCare and UU The Vote, you are continuing in the long history of UUs working for social justice. Thank you so much for engaging in these sacred acts of witness and service, and for joining your energy with the flow of grace in the world. In your board meetings and your council meetings, you are tending to the financial and organizational well-being of this beloved community. In your small groups, you cultivate loving connections between one another, sharing your stories with vulnerability and listening with loving hearts. In religious education classes, you are encouraging one another in your searches for truth and meaning. Worship leaders are taking time to craft services that nurture our spirits and inspire us to live our values in the world. Pastoral care team members are listening with love and compassion in order to help bring about wholeness and healing in the hearts of those going through difficult times. I want you to know that I see all the ways you are working to strengthen this community. I see the love you have for one another, the ways you support each other in the ups and downs of your lives, and your commitment to transforming the world with the power of your love. I see and appreciate the ministry you are doing, and I am so grateful to be doing this ministry with you. I would like to end with words written by the Reverend Maureen Killoran, taken from her reading, Christmas Eve Benediction. May joy be your companion, whether you are with others or alone. May love be your strength, and may the gift of community dwell in your heart. For here in this place, you will be welcome always, whenever you choose, whenever you need. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born, oh, night divine, oh, night divine. Truly he taught us of joy in grateful chorus raise we. Let all within us praise His holy name. Christ is the Lord. Oh, praise His name forever. His power and glory evermore proclaim. His power and
It is possible that there was no more famous contemporary Unitarian Universalist than the Reverend Forrest Church of All Souls Unitarian Church in New York City. He was an inspiring speaker and an extraordinary author and a true friend. And I can vouch for that personally, as Reverend Lizzie and I were married by Forrest in 1984. He consecrated our son Joshua. Forrest succumbed to cancer in 2009. It was a long and difficult battle, and when he delivered this Christmas Eve prayer, he believed that it would be his last. I think it's a beautiful prayer in its own right, knowing that it was written by a man who knew he was dying gives it even more power. Tonight, we on the worship team who have worked so hard this year to create and craft our weekly YouTube services for you to try and create some semblance of normalcy for our beloved congregation, we want to share this Christmas prayer with you.
What a joy it is for me to be with you once again. On this night of nights, we have more for which to be grateful than we will likely ever know. Let us unite our hearts in the spirit of prayer.
On this night of joy and wonder, let us enter the realm of enchantment. Shed our self-protective cover and open our hearts to the magic of Christmas.
Let us prepare our very souls to receive the gift of life abundant, not as we too often and so sadly do to take this precious life for granted, but instead to unwrap the present and hail the gift, precious, mysterious, and charged with saving grace.
Let us put aside our shopping list of grievances, resist the nattering of our grubby little egos, and crack our parched lives open like a seed.
For we too, this very night, are being illuminated by a story and a star, can witness a miracle.
A birth, heralding our birth, magnificent and oh so surpassingly strange.
A life, no less wondrous than ours.
A death, itself a gift to charge our days with purpose, helping us to live in such a way that our lives too will prove worth dying for.
In that spirit, let us prepare our hearts, first for the glory of supernal music and surpassing legend, and then for the magic of awakening.
Awaken to the saving gift of forgiveness, where we can, in a single breath, free ourselves and free one another.
Awaken to the possibility of love, all saving and all redeeming love.
Awaken to the blessing of acceptance, expressed in a simple saving mantra.
Want what you have, do what you can, be who you are.
Awaken.
Awaken.
Awaken, and the God we don't believe in, greater than all and yet present in each, may in fact believe in us.
That is my Christmas prayer. Call it thoughtful wishing. All we have to do is put our heart in it. And there's one more bonus. Unlike wishful thinking, thoughtful wishes always come true.
Amen.
I love you.
And may God bless us all.
We love you. Merry Christmas. And to all, a good night.